Alright guys, this is your test 3.2 review. I'm going to work through your review step by step so you can check yours and you're ready for tomorrow's test. So first we're going to start with some slope problems. State the slope of each of the lines graphed below. So because it's a graph, we're going to be doing our rise over our run. So for these graphs, they gave us the points that we need to find the slope to. So we're going to start at the origin and draw the right triangle. So for this triangle, I went up 5 and right 2. So rise over run, my slope would be 5 over 2. For line B, we're going to start at the origin again. Up and then over. So for line B, this time I went up 2 into the right 3. So rise over run, my slope is 2 over 3. And then lastly, line C, origin and then over to the point they gave us. Up 1 over 4, rise over run, my slope is 1 over 4. Number 2. The graph shows a bicycle rider. She moves at a constant speed. Find the slope of the line. What does this tell you about the speed? So again, they've given us points this time. It doesn't matter which 2 points you use, the slope will always be the same between any 2 points. So I'm going to draw my right triangle. Now what's different here is we have to pay attention to our scale. We're not going by ones on my y-axis. Instead, it's going by 20s. So 20, 40, 60, up to 80. So because it's going by 20s and I went up 3 squares, I have a rise of 60. And then I went over 1, 2, 3 squares on my x-axis. So my slope, rise over run, I rose 60, and then we ran 3 to the right. So we get 60 over 3. And that simplifies to 20 over 1. And what does this tell you about this speed? That means for every 20 kilometers she goes, it takes her 1 hour. So 20 kilometers in 1 hour. Number 3, if Maddie earns $8 an hour at her job, what is the slope of the line? So if we're looking at this as a graph, Maddie earns $8 for every 1 hour. So $8 in 1 hour. That means if she worked 2 hours, she would get $16. So her rate that she earns money is the slope. So if it's $8 for every 1 hour, her slope would be 8 over 1. Number 4, give the letter of the line that has the following slope. So now you're just identifying what type of slope these lines have. So a positive slope, that means if I start at the left of my graph, and then I go towards the right, just like when you read, my line has to be going up. So if I look at line R, if I start at the left, and I move towards the right, I would be going uphill. So that's my positive slope. My negative slope would be the opposite. I start at the left, and as I move towards the right, this time I would be going downhill. So that's my negative slope. Zero slope is a little bit different. If my slope is 0, I don't have any up or down. It's just completely flat. So for zero slope, as I move left to right, it stays horizontal. That's going to be Q. And then undefined is our last one. Undefined is a vertical line, straight up and down, all rise, no run. We can't calculate how steep it is, so we say it's undefined. And that's line S. Number 5. 2 parallel lines are cut by a transversal as shown below. What is the value of x? So thinking back to transversals, we did this before Thanksgiving. we need to look and see, are these two angles here, are they congruent or are they supplementary? They're both obtuse angles, so they're congruent. So I'm going to set the angles equal to each other. Because if they're congruent, we know they're the same. And then we solve for x. Subtract x from both sides. 40 equals 3x minus x is 2x. We're going to divide by 2. X equals 20. And we're done because this one just says what is the value of x. We don't have to plug it back in. Number 6, back to slope. A carpenter is building a set of steps for a bunk bed. The plan for the steps is shown below. Using points A and B, find the slope of the line of the steps. Verify that the slope is the same at a different location by choosing a different set of points. So first, it says find the slope using points A and B. So I'm going to start at A and go to B. So I have to go up 2 and to the right 3. So rise over run. My slope from A to B is 2 over 3. When it says verify that the slope is the same, I'm going to pick another pair of points. So I'll use C and D. And we want to see if the slope is the same between those. So up 2, right 3. My slope from C to D would still be 2 over 3. So my slope for this line is 2/3. Number 7, look at the graph below. Which is the best interpretation of this graph? So we're going to find the slope and pick which of these works the best. So for your rise over your run, this time I went up 1, and according to my scale on the x-axis, since going up by 10s, I went right 10. So my slope here is 1 over 10. So let's look at our interpretations. Bryson earns $20 for each hour he's worked. If that were true, instead of 10, it would be 1 over 20, so it can't be A. For every 10 pieces of candy Stephanie buys, she pays $1. So if she buys 10 pieces of candy, she pays $1. That one could work. For every 10 students in a dance, 2 teachers are needed as chaperones. So if I'm at 10, if I have 10 students, that would mean I would need 2 teachers. Well, the 10 is with the 1, so it can't be that one. A runner runs at a constant rate of 2 miles every 30 minutes. So let's look at, if this, my x-axis were my minutes, at 30 minutes, that should also be at 2 miles on my y. It's at 3, so it's not letter D, which means it's letter B. Number 8, Grace is buying fruit at the grocery store. Use the graph below to determine the unit rate. Okay, so we're going to do our rise over our run. Okay, draw your right triangle. So here we went up 1, 2, 3 lines. No, 4 lines, and we went over 1. So my slope for this graph is going to be 4 over 1. Now down here where it says what is the rate of change, we've talked about this in class. We know rate of change and slope are the same thing. So the rate of change is also going to be 4 over 1, which simplifies to 4. Nyla helps out her uncle's ice cream stand over the summer. The graph shows how much Nyla earns for working at her uncle's ice cream stand. What is the rate at which Nyla earns money working at her uncle's ice cream stand? What is the slope of the line graph? So again, slope and rate are the same thing. So we're just going to find the slope of this graph. So here, each of my lines on the y-axis is worth 2. So she went up, since it's 3 squares, up 6, and then over 1 on my x-axis. So the slope is going to be 6 over 1, which would be $6 for every 1 hour that she works. That's the rate and the slope. 6 over 1 for both. Number 10. The table below represents points on the line. What is the slope of the line? So on a table, it's going to be change in y divided by the change in x. So my y's, I'm adding 6 every time. And for my x's, negative 2 to 2 is plus 4. 2 to 6 plus 4. So slope, my y's are changing by 6, my x's are changing by 4, and then reduce. 3 over 2. Find the slope of the line that passes through the points. Here you're just using your formula, x1, y1, x2, y2, and plug them into your slope formula. So my y2 is 5 minus y1 is negative 4 over x2 is negative 7 minus x1, which is 5. So 5 minus negative 4, those turn into pluses, is 9. 7 minus 5 is negative 12. And then reduce, divide by 3. You get 3 over 4. Y2 is 10 minus y1 is 0 over x2, which is 0, minus negative 2. 10 minus 0 is 10. Minus a negative again turns into a plus, so 0 plus 2 is 2. 10 over 2 simplifies to 5. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. So 6 minus negative 3 over negative 1 minus negative 7. So lots of double negatives here. Turn them into pluses. 6 plus 3 is 9. Negative 1 plus positive 7 is a positive 6. And then you're going to reduce by dividing by 3. You get 3 over 2. Number 12, determine the rate of change on the graph below. So slope again. You're going to draw your right triangle between the 2 points. So I'm starting at 8. This time I had to go down 2, so negative 2 and to the right 3. So remember, if your line is going down, you're going to have to put a negative by your slope. So your slope this time is negative 2 over 3. Okay. Find the unit rate for the table in the graph below. Who was driving the fastest, Ben or Sally? So we're going to find the slope for Ben and for Sally to determine who was going the fastest. So for Ben, we're going to start at 50. Go to 250 over 5. Draw your right triangle again. So 50 to 250, we went up 200. And we went to the right 5. So for Ben, the slope will be 200 over 5, which is 40. And then Sally, we're going to do change in y over change in x. She's going up by 15 by 1. So her slope would be 15 over 1. Okay. So if we compare their two slopes, we have 40 or 15 over 1, which is 15. We know that Ben was driving the fastest. So your final answer is Ben. Number 14. In the figure, line M is parallel to line N. The measure of angle 3 is 7x minus 10, so I label angle 3 with that. And angle 6 is 5x plus 10. What is the measure of angle 3 and angle 6? So first we have to find x. These two angles are congruent, so we set them equal to each other. Solve for x. Minus 5x. 2x minus 10 equals 10. Add 10. 2x equals 20. And divide by 2. X is 10. Now we're not done because it says what is the measure of angle 3 and angle 6. So once we know what x is, we have to plug that back in to our angles. So 7 times 10 is 70, minus 10 is 60. And because we know these angles are congruent, we also know that the angle down here, 5 times 10 plus 10, would also be 60 degrees. So your final answer for your test tomorrow, you would put 60 degrees. Okay, number 5. Find the measure of, 15. Find the measure of each of the labeled angles below. So first it gives us angle 8. Now we know from when we were working with the exterior angles of triangles that the two interior angles add up to the exterior angle. So I know to find angle 8, it should be 30 plus angle 8 gives me 115 degrees. So to work backwards to find angle 8, I'm going to do 115 degrees minus 30 degrees, which gives me 85 degrees. So I know angle 8 is 85 degrees. Angle 6 is this interior angle here. Okay. So just like before, because I'm looking for this interior angle, if I add those together, I should get 115. So I'm working backwards again. I'm going to take the exterior angle and subtract the interior angle. 115 degrees minus 70 degrees is 45 degrees. Next, we're looking for angle 4, which is over here. If we're looking at angle 4, these two angles together, the 50 degrees and angle 4, they make a straight line. And now we know that a straight line is 180 degrees. So to find this missing angle, I'm going to take 180 degrees and subtract what I know, which is 50 degrees. 180 minus 50 is 130 degrees. That's angle 4. And lastly, angle 1 up here. We can find that by looking at our congruent angles. I know angle 6 is 45 degrees, and I know angle 6 is congruent to angle 2. So angle 2 is 45. Angle 3 then is also congruent to the 50 degrees. And we know a triangle has 180 degrees, so to find angle 1, I'm going to take 180, and I'm going to subtract the two interior angles added together. So 50 plus 45 is 95 degrees. 180 degrees minus 95 gives us 85 degrees again, which is also congruent to angle 8 that we see for the same angle in similar triangles, so they should be congruent. Number 16. Solve for x, then find the measure of each angle. So first, ask yourself, are these angles congruent or are they supplementary? Here, we can see they're the same type of angle, so they are congruent. So you're going to set it up as 3x minus 31 equals x plus 59. Solve, subtract x. 2x minus 31 equals 59. Add 31. 2x equals 90. Divide by 2. X equals 45. Okay, so that's the first part. x is 45 degrees. And then we have to plug it back in to find the angles. So I'm going to plug into this one. 45 plus 59. Add those together and you get 104 degrees. And because these angles are congruent, the other angle also has to be 104 degrees. Okay. Over here, these two angles, one's obtuse and one is acute. So we know they can't be equal to each other. So we're going to take these two angles, add them up, and set them equal to 180 because they are supplementary. So 5x plus 6x is 11x, and then negative 33 plus 4 is negative 29 equals 180. Add 29. 11x equals 209. And when you divide by 11, x equals 19. So we know x is 19. And then we're going to plug that back in to find our two angles. So 5 times 19 minus 33 is 62 degrees. So that's one of our angles. And then 6 times 19 plus 4 is 118 degrees, which is our other angle. And if we were to add those together, we would get 180 degrees. Okay, I'm going to leave you to do number 18 on your own. All you're doing is listing those types of angles. If you have questions, I will be here in the morning before school, and we can check over your work. And that, see you tomorrow, and good luck.